Welcome to the Making of Me podcast, where we explore stories of resilience, reinvention, and living fully every stage of life. Today, we are joined by Chris Moore, author, advocate, and founder of Senior Remodeling Expert. Chris is on a mission to challenge society stereotype about aging and show that life after 50 can be vibrant, purposeful, and deeply fulfilling. It's really a pleasure to have you on the show, Chris.
Pleasure to be here. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, thank you. So, Chris, what were some of the challenges that shape you into who you are? Who you are?
First of all, I love the name of your podcast, the Making of Me. And I believe that it's the challenges and the difficult times and the arid places in our lives that form us into the people that we need to become to step
Yeah,
into our destiny and do the calling that we've been called to do in our lives. And for years and years, I've always said, when everybody's healthy and there's money in the bank and the sun's shining, it's pleasant, but we don't grow. We
yeah,
grow when we're challenged. We grow when we face those things that we look at and say, how can I ever get through this? And without a doubt, the biggest challenge that I have been through in my life is when my wife of 33 years died of lung cancer in July of 22. And it was all of my foundation, the ground that I was standing on was gone. And I had no place to stand. I wondered what my purpose was and what my reason to get up in the morning was, because for 33 years I had been a husband and now I wasn't a husband anymore. And for 8 months I had been a caregiver and I took care of her as she battled cancer. And now I was not a caregiver anymore. And who was I? And in the days and weeks and months that followed that, I, starting from scratch, starting from nothing, rebuilt my life with the help of God and with the help of perception. And one of the things that hit me the strongest was one day I had a memory of when we had first gotten married and she came down with encephalitis, which is a inflammation of the brain. And 90% of the time, the brain swells and you die. And most of the people who don't die lose all their short-term memory.
yeah,
But she was miraculously healed of that. And it occurred to me that if someone had told me 33 years earlier, your wife's not going to die, she's going to live 33 more years and bear you 3 more children, I would have been ecstatic. So I had a choice to be distraught and just broken and with nothing left because she died at 55 years old. Or I could choose to be ecstatic that she did not die at 22 years old.
yeah,
And I realized that choice that we have about how we view the events that life puts in front of us is the one thing that we can control no matter what, no matter how devastating the loss, no matter how difficult the trial that we are going through. We have the choice of how we frame that in our minds. We can choose to focus on the positive aspects, or we can choose to focus on the negative aspects, because everything we go through in life, no matter how good or how bad, has both a positive and a negative aspect.
yeah,
And that understanding, that belief has been so liberating to me and has allowed me to rise from the ashes and to have a new perspective on life.
wow,
There's a chapter in my book. This is my new book,
yeah,
Age Out Loud, which just came out last week, or week before, earlier this month. And there's a chapter 5 is how to survive a devastating loss and thrive in the aftermath.
wow,
And so, to your point of the making of me, that has been the biggest event and the biggest realization that has made me who I am today
yeah,
and made
yeah,
me able to, talk to people, your audience, and everyone listening to the sound of my voice, to say that no matter how difficult your circumstances, no matter how overwhelming your loss, there is light at the end of the tunnel. There is a
Hmm.
new day. You
Yeah.
can stand to your feet and you can take one step at a time
Yeah.
and
Amazing. Thank
keep
you so much,
living.
Chris. Yeah, this is really, really amazing. So tell us a little about your journey and what inspired you to write your Eat Out Loud.
Okay, so in my day job, I am a remodeling contractor. I remodel homes for people, and my specialty is aging in place. I help people by creating a home that's a perfect backdrop for a life well lived. And so we often have people who have challenges. They have mobility challenges, they have cognitive challenges, they have trouble getting in and out of their home. And so for years, I've been talking to people about, hey, we can come in and we can do some changes to your home. We can widen your doorways. We can put in a wheelchair ramp. We can take your bathtub out and put in a curbless shower, and we can make life a little easier for you. And so often people were resistant to that. They said, I don't want that. I don't need that. And it seemed the more that people needed these changes to live a comfortable life, the
Hmm.
less they wanted the changes. And that was puzzling to me. Why are people so resistant to having a more comfortable home? And over time, it occurred to me that the main reason for this is because people have a negative perception of what it means to get older. Everybody
Hmm.
wants to live a long life, but nobody wants to get old. And this perception that getting older means getting weaker and sicker is, I believe, what drives people to resist talking about getting older, resist talking about remodeling their home, resist talking about all of the things that are associated with getting older. But then I began to meet people who were 80, 90, 100 years old and were still living full productive lives. So I began to question, what's the difference? What's the difference between those who are 80 and 90 and they're still taking on the world, they're aging out loud, and those who are 50 and 60 and think that their life is over and their best days are behind them? And so that was the genesis of the book. That was where I began to learn and study and ponder about, what do the people that are old and thriving have that the people who are old and fading and declining and believing that is their destiny to decline.
Yeah. Amazing.
And the number one reason, the number one thing is mindset, is the belief. If you believe that every day you're going to get weaker and sicker, if you believe that your best days are behind you, if you believe that getting older is a curse, then you're going to have decline because of your
Yeah.
belief. On the other hand, if you believe that you're just getting started, if you believe that your best days are in front of you, if you believe that if you think you can, and you don't give up until you find a way, then you will live a fulfilling and purposeful life.
Hmm.
So that is the mission of the book, is to help as many people as I can recognize that they have a choice, recognize that they have the power to choose what kind of life they have going forward.
They have the life to choose. And I think from what you just even analyzed, being that a whole lot of old persons, the most perception, not just them alone, but people all around, their hope is once they are getting older, there is no more energy to do anything. It's going back to the basics, who are more like they are going to be fent for rather than living out purpose or believing in doing anything at any certain age. And the way you just explained your speak volumes to, yes, there's more on aging from this particular perspective. And I'm really glad that you wrote this book, and amazing having
Yeah.
you on the podcast. So losing your wife in 2022 was a profound moment. How did that experience shape your views of aging and purpose?
It made me realize that life is precious, and it made me look at each day as a gift,
Hmm.
because none of us know how many days we have left. None of us know how much time we have on this earth. And each day we get to choose, what am I going to do with this day that I have today? I woke up this morning and I opened my eyes and they could see. There are people who've opened their eyes every morning and have never been able to see. I can't make myself see. That's a gift. I woke up this morning and I was able to stand on my feet and my legs held me up, and that's a gift. And I woke up and I have a house to live in and have food to eat and have water to drink. And that's a gift. But so often people don't think about their gifts. They spend more time thinking about all the things that they don't have that they wish they had instead of appreciating the things that they do have. And so that perspective of gratitude for what I have and the gifts that I have and appreciating those things and making the most of the day that I have.
Thank you so much, Chris. I think this just
Yeah.
speak a whole lot of volumes from your explanation and everything. It just dawned on me in the fact that sometimes we don't get to appreciate what we have until we lose them. And it ought not to be more like, I think with this podcast, it to be more like a clamor call of actually more like, yeah, embrace everything that you actually that there is and be thankful over it in terms of, yeah, other than declining, you're actually more like aging with more like purpose, doing everything that needs to be done, being that you are still fit, you are still well enough to actually more like carrying on and do those things other than the other part of things. It's really amazing just hearing more like share your stories. So how can people leverage their life experience and wisdom to continue growing and contributing by and finding joy later in life?
Well, I think gratitude is a huge part of it, and very much a beginning point. You have to be thankful for what you have. You have to recognize it's so much easier for us to see value in others than it is to see value in ourselves. We often are plagued with doubts. We look at ourselves and we think, I've failed so many times. I'm not good at this. I'm not good at that. I don't really think I can succeed in this area. I really want to do this thing, but I'm afraid that I'm going to fail. I'm afraid. And it's not really fear, it's anxiety that holds us back. It's concern over what other people might think of us
Yeah.
if we attempt something and fail. Because we say fear of failure, but in reality, fear is a caution over a real and present danger. Okay. If we are being attacked by a lion or an alligator or a bear, then we're fear. There's a real and present danger that we might be hurt. Or if we're driving a car and suddenly the car in front of us slams on its brakes, we have fear because there's a real and present danger. But anxiety is caution over a future imagined danger. We imagine that we might be ridiculed if we step out in faith. We imagine that we might not succeed if we attempt this new business or if we attempt to reach somebody or to make a difference in the world. If we, put our face out there on a podcast, we may be concerned that people might have, negative things to say about us. But that anxiety mimics fear. It has the same response in the body. We have our palms sweat, our heart races. We think of all the worst things that could happen. And so mitigating that anxiety and changing our perception. After my wife died, my youngest daughter, we had 6 children together. My youngest daughter said one day, the worst thing that could ever happen in my life has happened to me. What else could I be afraid of? Right? And that's the power of going through difficult times, because after we think, well, I got through that, what else is going to stop? All the things that we used to worry about, all the things that we used to be concerned about. Oh, well, what if I try this new business and it fails? Or what if I, get up in front of people and speak and I stumble over my words? Or, oh my gosh, I would be so embarrassed. But after you go through something devastating, it's like, okay, well, what if it does? And no big deal. No big deal. I have a message that needs to be heard. I have gained gifts from going through this difficult time that I can help somebody else make their life a little bit better. by hearing the insights that I have learned in going through this difficult.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Chris. And I think from what you just said, it just speaks volumes to a whole lot of things can actually change other than living from anxiety and fear. We can actually live out from gratitude, owing to the fact that, yeah, there's a whole lot of things to be grateful about. There's a whole lot of things that you can actually just, yeah, being in the presence, accepting everything that there is and actually improve on it. And it's the fact that you just sharing your story just shows the fact that you have gone through this owing to the loss, and despite your aging, you're actually more like crafting at purpose. Or for those who are in similar cases who didn't believe in themselves anymore, and yeah, it's amazing. It's amazing. So for listeners who are ready to actually embrace purpose in aging, what resources or next step will you recommend?
Okay, so my website is ageoutloudbook.com.
Book
Ageoutloudbook.com.
that's cool.
So they can go there, they can order the book, they can find other resources that I have available, groups. I write a column on Substack, which is Age Out Loud. So you can go to substack.com and search for Age Out Loud. I would encourage anyone and everyone, regardless of your age, regardless of your circumstances, to look at your attitude, to look at your mindset and say, am I appreciating the gifts that I've been given today?
Wow. Wow. Appreciating the gifts that have been given today. Yeah, amazing. Thank you so much. Also, Chris, what will be your final words to our audience or the aging parents who are at home? What will be your final words to them?
Well, I believe that we as human beings are created in the image and likeness of God. And God loved us enough to create us and to make us in his image. And if that doesn't inspire you, I don't know what will. You know, we're often taught that we evolved from monkeys and that we're really just, animals walking around on our hind legs. And if you believe that, then you're probably not going to really aspire to accomplish great things in life. But if you believe, as I do, that God created us in his image, that we are creative beings and we were made to create things, we were made to connect with each other, and we were made to contribute to the world around us. So if we're not doing those things, we're probably feeling out of sorts and out of place. So take the time to reflect on what you have, be grateful for the gifts that you have, and just take one day at a time.
Take one day at a time, reflect, and move on. Yeah, amazing. Thank you so much, Chris. Thank you for sharing your insights and your personal journey. For
Yep.
listener, you can actually, for a listener out loud, is more than a book. It's a blueprint for living with purpose, energy, and joy at any age. You can order your copies.
Ageoutloudbook.com.
Yeah, yes, the link is going to be on the show notes for my audience to know. Thank you, Chris. This is the Making of Me podcast, and to remind us that life doesn't have to be meat button. We get to speak, create, and contribute at every stage. Once again, it's really a pleasure having you on the show, Chris.
Very good. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you, Chris.